morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Michelle, and I am the founder and director of Inside Out Well. I started this journey with a clear purpose to help individuals cultivate sustainable, holistic well-being, physically, mentally, and emotionally. As a businesswoman and a mother, I understand how demanding life can be and how easy it is to neglect our health in pursuit of success. Inside Out Well was created to bridge that gap, to remind us that our well-being is not a luxury, but a necessity, and often the very foundation of our success. So this brings me to why we're here today. This three-part webinar series is designed to explore the often overlooked connections between our health, mindset, and personal growth. It's titled Your Wellbeing, the Untapped Power Behind Your Success. Because our well-being is that hidden gem, the silent driver that can determine whether we thrive or struggle. My hope is that each session offers you valuable insights and practical tools that you can apply in your own life, whether it's small, consistent changes to your fitness routine, recognizing and addressing emotional roadblocks, or finding the courage to take the next big step in your personal or professional life. This series is designed to inspire and empower you. In our first part titled What's Holding You Back, we focused on emotional well-being with Miss Lin Pei Min, our counselor who has been instrumental in helping individuals navigate emotional challenges and develop resilience. We spoke about breaking the stigma when it comes to mental health and counseling, what to expect in a counseling session, and of course, where can we find affordable mental health support. Last week in part 2, If Not Now When, our executive coach Maria Sahota guided us on how to break through self-doubt and take actionable steps towards our goals. In today's finale, our final part, Fit for Success, our personal trainer and nutritionist Gregory Low will debunk fitness myths, discuss sustainable health strategies, as well as common misconceptions about fitness, nutrition, and aging. Remember to send in your questions throughout the session in the chat box. We'll dive into them during the last 15 minutes. We will also raise questions that we have received directly over email and through WhatsApp that we have received prior to today's session. Okay, Greg, let's start off with the most common issues faced when it comes to personal health. Quick fixes. How many people
Okay.
chase quick fixes when it comes to health and fitness, and why do you think these approaches fail in the long run?
Um, like you say, there are quick fixes. There are often promises that you will get results quickly.
Mm,
And basically they are focused in such a way that the results are there, but they
mhm,
are not sustainable. Okay, so basically it leads to a very unrealistic expectation, as it doesn't have a long-term plan, and
mm,
it drastically changes your diet or
mm,
your exercise routine, and it actually can lead to injuries, burnout, fatigue, deprivation of nutrients.
mm,
And the most important thing is that the reason why it doesn't work is because you're talking about YouTube quick fixes, so on and so forth, things
mm,
like that, right? Uh, they film it as a way of a generic approach, meaning all individuals are the same, and
mm.
they are not different because, like, like I mean, all individuals have different physiologies, and
Yeah,
therefore the effects are different. The outcome
yeah,
will be different. So
yeah.
therefore, it does trigger it does cause people to have different reaction and health and fitness issues. So therefore, it's not really a very good idea to do quick fixes like that.
Okay. Can you share some of the most common misconceptions people have about quick results in terms of weight loss, in terms of muscle gain, or just general fitness?
Okay, right, when you mentioned that, the only things that come into my mind are three things that are very common
Mm,
and what I hear a lot. Okay, first of all, the one that is common, the first most common one is that eliminate carbohydrates during a weight loss.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Carbohydrates is an essential nutrient, okay, that provides energy and it is necessary for the body, okay? Because when you consume carbohydrates, it provides, like I said, it provides energy, and therefore it gives you energy for your everyday movements, your
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you consume carbs in an appropriate amount, doesn't mean that you're going to get fat, okay?
Mm.
Since the food we consume includes lots of carbohydrates, there is usually a recommendation for weight loss that suggests reducing or eliminating carbohydrates.
Mm.
However, carbohydrates are not the sole cause of, obesity, like I said earlier. There are many
Mm-hmm.
types of carbohydrate. So one usually chooses complex carbohydrates such as brown rice, oats, uh, whole wheat bread, because they increase blood sugar level slowly and it gives you the long-lasting effect of being full because it takes a longer time to digest. And therefore, it actually reduces your appetite and it also helps control your hunger. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is this one comes very often, but I always put a smile on my face when I hear this. Fats will convert to muscles.
Hmm?
Okay, fats
Oh.
com fats converts to muscles. Okay, if you work hard enough, your fats will change to muscles, and it'll help you bulk up. Unfortunately, fats cannot physically convert into muscles, as muscles and fats are two distinctive types of muscles with different structures and function.
Well, you just
Uh,
said fats and muscles are two distinctive types of muscles.
sorry, my bad. Two distinctive type of tissues. Okay,
Ah, okay.
all right, with different structures and functions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, basically, you can lose fat and gain muscle, but one does not actually transform into the other.
So you're saying that I could actually gain muscle and fat at the same time if I don't go on a
Um,
diet?
okay. If you do a fitness journey where you do weights training and all that,
Mm.
basically you will gain muscles. But if you need to lose fat, you need to go on a calorie deficit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you incorporate both of these together, yes, you will
Mm.
lose fats and you will gain muscles at the same time.
Mm.
But what I'm trying to emphasize is that you cannot transform fats into muscles or muscles back into fats if you don't exercise at all.
Understand. And your
Okay.
third misconception?
Okay, the last one I have is you cannot spot reduce fat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, when you try to lose weight, you are not able to lose the area in which you want to reduce or you want to spot that area. Basically, your body actually predetermines which fat stores it will use because it is part of the genes that you have. So different genes causes different, you know, okay, for example, the most common one I hear is that I want to have a six pack and I have fats over it. All I need to do is just do lots of crunches every day to get rid of the fats and get the six pack. It doesn't work that way because your body decides how and where it wants to burn. It can be your legs, it can be your face, it can be your shoulders, and
Mm.
if you're really fortunate, okay, in your genes, you will lose it first in your gut, in your stomach. Then that's
Mm.
very good of you.
Okay. Now, speaking about abs then, we often hear that abs are made in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So how crucial is nutrition in achieving long-term health, and what does a truly balanced diet look like?
Okay. Nutrition is very important for health. It provides the body with necessary nutrition for growth, development, and your overall well-being.
Mm.
Um, okay, if you okay, what does the well, truly what balanced diet look like, okay, it basically consists of a variety of food from all food groups, okay, like for example, fruits, vegetables, whole grain, lean protein, and healthy fats, while you're limiting processed food, added sugar, sugary drinks, and all that. So basically, a healthy diet is basically it's a mixture of all food groups, but like what I said, fruits, vegetables, and all that.
Okay, so it's all, I think these are things that we have kind of learned when even when we're in primary school, right? With
Oh
our
yes, definitely.
education in terms of the balanced
The
diet and all that. So I
Correct,
think perhaps maybe an observation is that maybe aside from neglecting that or throwing that out the window, there's also as adults, right? There's issue with portion control, there's issue with emotional eating.
right?
So what do you say to that? What do we do? We always hear about mindful eating, but honestly,
Okay.
when the food is in front of us, or when
You just
we're going
eat.
through a hard day,
Yeah.
there is no mindful eating.
Okay. Basically, when it comes to mindful eating,
Mhm,
it basically helps achieve a healthier relationship with food by
mm,
being aware of the difference between hunger and being full. Okay, so basically, like you said, it all depends on the situation you're in or the mental state that you're in.
mm,
If you're depressed, you just want to eat comfort food.
mm,
If you're in a so-called state where, oh, I want to be fit, then you start eating healthy and all that.
mm,
So that's where mindful eating comes into play because it actually encourages you to pay attention to
mm,
your body signals, helping you to recognize when you're truly hungry and when you're truly satisfied with what you're eating. And it actually prevents you from overeating and
mm,
snacking, I would say.
mm.
Yeah.
So, I think, and I've experienced this, right? Like sometimes, and this is usually, I think, with people who generally have are already quite more on the heavier side. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously heavier for a reason, right? Because we're so accustomed, our body is so accustomed to eating frequently or eating poorly frequently. And when you say listen to the signals on your body, if your body is telling you, right? I can tell you that I've been in situations where I'm like, yeah, 1 hour later, okay, my body's
Then you get hungry again.
hungry,
Yeah.
right?
Yep,
And then
yep, yep,
two,
yep.
then after
I
a
understand.
nice lunch, I mean, like, at 3 o'clock, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm listening to my body. My body tells me, yeah, okay, I'm hungry again. Let's go eat, right?
All right. Yep.
Yeah, and then after, like, after a healthy snack, whatever that might be, I'll still feel like, still hungry leh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I understand. Okay. All right. Okay. This is where apart from mindful eating, uh eating in moderation comes into play or comes into my mind. Okay.
Mm,
Eating in moderation means you should avoid excessive eating.
okay.
It basically means you should only consume the amount of food that your body actually needs, which
Mm-hmm.
means you are avoiding overeating, and it
Mm-hmm.
usually relates to the portion size that you're eating
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and paying attention to how often you eat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're talking about losing weight, it's basically based on calorie deficit.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So if you put mindful eating into the eating in moderation, all right,
Mm.
you basically
Mm.
prioritize what you're eating. So when it comes to a
Okay.
healthy diet, okay, you eat moderately with a mindful mindful eating,
Mm-mm.
prioritizing proper whole unprocessed food
Yeah.
and food with fiber, water, proteins, that kind of stuff in your diet.
Mm.
So if you eat like that, you should feel full. And eat, like you say, if you do feel hungry in the middle of the night, yeah, you can
Mm-hmm.
snack.
Mm.
But you should snack proper food like fruits, for example, because they
Right.
are the best way to keep you full because it's full of water,
Yeah.
fiber,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of sugar to keep you going. and all that, rather than potato chips and nachos and chips and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm trying to imply when it comes to things like this.
So, so I suppose fruits are beneficial, but if as a nutritionist, what are the top three fruits that you would recommend we keep stashed away for those moments when we feel peckish?
Watermelon,
Mm-hmm.
oranges, and kiwi fruits. Okay.
Okay. Why kiwi?
Okay, kiwi has a chemical compound in the fruit that actually helps reduce or in a way burn fats in your body. Okay, doesn't mean that you have to consume a lot, but it's more like in a way when you're taking a form of medication to help an illness that it slowly just grows into you and you
Mm-hmm.
just take it regularly. So it will in time helps burn it off. As for oranges are concerned, the citric acid also helps your system, your body,
Mm-hmm.
and the pulp itself will keep you regular.
Mm-hmm.
And the vitamins, of course, oranges has high in vitamin C, which helps your muscle growth and everything. And the last one, especially watermelon, because watermelon is high in water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is very fibrous, and when you do eat it, it actually keeps you full because it consumes a large area in your stomach. So it keeps you full, and it takes a while to burn. So therefore,
Oh,
you do not get hungry that quickly. It's better than taking a liquid diet or whatever.
oh,
Eat something
okay.
solid. Eat something
Mm,
solid that fills your stomach up. So
right.
therefore, it tricks your mind to say that, oh, I'm full. So okay, I shall stop eating. You know?
Okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's a good tip, actually. Okay, then I suppose along that line, when it comes to dieting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we gathered from what you've shared so far is that as at the start, as we're looking to get healthier, and I'm just focusing on the diet side of things now,
Okay.
when it comes to mindful eating,
Mm-hmm.
the frequency is something that we perhaps can't change, although we can be mindful about body signals and start to train ourselves to watch the signals. But
Right.
when the signal rings or beeps and we feel that hunger pang, indulge in it, but don't indulge in it wrongfully in terms of the types of food we snack on or the amount
Right.
we're eating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, go for snacks. Go for fruits. That's always beneficial snacking. And of all the
Yes.
fruits out there, recommended would be watermelon, orange, and kiwi
Kiwi
for
fruit. Yes.
all the reasons. So one
Yep.
with watermelon, it is something that will make us feel full fast, but it
Mm-hmm.
also has a lot of benefits when it comes to the keeping us very hydrated, and have
Yes, that's correct.
the good nutrients in there. Um, Orange for its fiber and for its vitamin C that
Mm-hmm.
supports our muscle growth. And similarly with kiwi, but on top of the vitamin C, it also has a component that helps with fat burning
Yes.
in a not in a deliberate point of view, like you can't take it for specifically fat reduction, but
That's right.
more of maintaining fat growth.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Right? Okay. I mean, like just helping us to moderate that. Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
So
Okay.
perhaps then, what are some practical steps that someone can take today to move away from the on-off diet cycle? Because that's usually one of the problems, right? I see so many of my colleagues and my friends, they'll just start to go on some trending diet, right? They go on the keto
Right, right.
diet, or they go on, I don't know what, intermittent fasting, they go on all kinds of in nice
Mm-hmm.
naming
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
diets. Um, and most often the reason why they're trending is because it seems to work, right?
Correct.
Got so many people, not just celebrities, but the common layman who seems to be a walking ambassador for said diet. Um, as a nutritionist, what do you think about the right way for us to approach our diets for sustainable eating patterns?
Oh, Hey, when you mention diets, say for example, things like intermittent fasting, keto diets,
Mm,
carnivore diets,
mm,
whatever diets that are available right now,
mm.
um, just because it works for one person doesn't necessarily mean that it works for the other person.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it all depends on what you want to do. But the
Mhm.
general thing about diet is that you need to find a balanced one. Okay, like we mentioned earlier, looking
Okay.
for a well-balanced diet, like rich in fruits, vegetables, lean protein, so on and so
Mm,
forth.
mm,
Okay, so my take is this, is that there are two kinds of people. Okay, an active person and a sedentary person. A sedentary person basically is somebody who doesn't exercise at all, sits behind a desk and finishes, just go home, have their meal, and then a cycle like that. These type of people, or these two groups of people, basically their diets will still be the same because they need to eat, like I said, in a well-balanced diet,
mm,
you know, whole grains, lean protein, fruits, vegetables, so on and so forth. Okay,
mm.
because both of them require energy. The food they eat requires energy and recovery, and you need to stay hydrated at the same time to keep you going, moving, everyday movements. The only difference between these two is that a person who is active just needs to eat more carbohydrates than what a sedentary person should do. Carbohydrates, like I said, is a form of energy that keeps you going. So if you're an active person and you don't eat carbohydrates, you're
Mm,
gonna feel fatigued, you're gonna feel tired, you're gonna feel,
mm.
lack of energy and everything. And if you eat a lot of carbohydrates and you don't exercise and you sit behind the desk and all that, unused carbohydrates will be stored in your liver and it
Yeah.
will convert to fats.
So let
So
me
that,
reframe this, huh? Let me reframe this. So
okay,
basically, if I'm an office worker, generally
mm-hmm,
sedentary lifestyle, the only form of exercise is
right?
maybe me walking to MRT or the bus stop, right?
Yes, that's right.
So therefore my diet should be carb light because I'm
Yes, that's
eating so
correct.
much. So therefore, when people say eat more protein, it's really because it's not so much that we should eat more protein. It's just that on
Right.
plate in terms of proportion and
That's right.
and
That's right.
split. Because there's less carbs since we don't need carb to fuel our movements.
Correct.
Protein is important, the fiber is important, vegetable is important, a bit of carb just for daily movement. But
Yes.
if we are starting a heavier, not heavier, if we're starting a more active lifestyle, like we're starting on an inside out well Kickstarter, and
Yep, that's
we go
correct. That's
into
correct.
starting a jogging habit, to do it like once every 3 days, for example,
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
then is it a case where on those days that I'm jogging, I should take more carbs, or just
Yes.
general because my lifestyle now has jogging like 3 times a week, I should, on my daily diet, take more carbs.
Okay, when you're an active person, from a sedentary sort of person, and then you
Mm-hmm.
start an active, a fitness journey, you tend to become more active. So that's where your carbohydrate intake should increase. The thing is, the more you exercise, your body will sooner or later will adapt to it,
Mm,
and your metabolism will increase at the same time.
right.
Okay,
Okay.
so the more you exercise, your body will slowly adapt. So therefore, on the days you exercise, you consume a little bit more carbs. And the
Uh-huh.
days that you don't exercise, you do consume carbs, but not as much as you would
Okay.
before you exercise or the day on your exercise. The day
Can
you
you
exercise, I mean.
can you then debunk this myth? Oh, I don't know whether it's a myth actually. I'm very curious about this. I grew up hearing this around me from athletes, right? By athletes I mean my classmates lah in sports teams. And they always say, okay, we have like this big race tomorrow, so tonight we're gonna have pasta, or we're gonna have bread, right? So is that a myth?
It's not a myth. It's not a myth. It's
It's
not a
true.
myth.
So if you're
It's
doing like
actually
marathon
true.
or half marathon, or you're going to go on like five click run the night before, have a bit of more carbs,
Not more, a lot more,
a lot
because
more.
the energy you have the night before, you
Right,
store it in you. So therefore, it's like potential energy. And
right,
then when you're actually doing the race itself that day, the
right.
complex carbohydrates will help burn this potential energy, and it will slowly use it as a fuel. Because once the fuel runs out, you don't have much energy left, because that's where your body will find other form of substitutes to
Mm.
help you burn. And the energy that helps you burn will not be as good as what carbohydrates would help you.
Wait, then see whether my understanding is correct. So
Okay.
that means that if I am on a weight loss journey
Mm-hmm.
and I start running in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
since I know I should need stored energy to run, if I am on a restricted diet or I moderate my consumption, right? So the night before, I don't really eat carbs, for example, or not so much anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That by that logic, right? Does that mean then in the morning when I do run, okay, as I'm not racing, I'm really just running just to exercise. Does that hasten my weight loss? Like because it was going to take energy from my fats?
Yes, it will in a way. Okay, so
Okay.
basically how the body functions is this way.
Mm.
When it comes to energy, your body will use carbohydrates first.
Mm-hmm.
And once your carbohydrates are depleted,
Mm.
it will use your body fats
Mm.
as energy.
Yep.
And once your fats is depleted, it will use protein from glycogen, or glycogen, the sugar.
Yep.
The protein will convert it and then produce energy for you to carry on moving. So
Right.
basically, like you said, if you are off on a heavy side
Mm-hmm.
and you want to lose weight, running helps you because you're burning calories. It's more of a
Mm.
catalyst to help you burn
Mm.
calories faster. So
Mm.
therefore, if you don't consume carbs that night and you run,
Mm.
you will feel very fatigued, very tired, because you're not using
Okay.
energy. And therefore, you're burning the fats. But the
Mm.
difference is just that with a little bit of carbs, it helps you burn, but you have more
Mm.
energy while you're doing it, rather than not having
Okay.
carbs,
Yeah, I get it. So I because I had those days, right, where it was a it was a very difficult run, even though it was a
Mm-hmm.
short run. And I can understand why now because like you said, while it may scientifically say that we would use the stored fat, which we all want to because we want to get rid of the fat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
the bad thing, and the cost of it is that you won't enjoy, or I didn't enjoy the run as much, right? Because I feel like it was such a struggle to run. And if that is a persistent feeling towards that exercise, it's a
Yes.
sustainable
Yeah,
lifestyle.
it's not sustainable, correct. Some
Okay.
people will still keep thinking that way because their mindset is that, okay, I need to suffer in order to lose weight. So they just
Yeah.
plow through,
Yeah.
without thinking much. They just plow through.
Right. Okay. No, that's helpful to know. Okay. So, um, great to if basically so if I was to string it all together and summarize that if we are a office worker and we are not active at all, try not to eat so much carbs because you're not using that in any shape or form. If
Yes.
you do start to get more active, introduce carbs into your diet because you need that to help you sustain a more active lifestyle. Not so much that you won't lose weight,
Mm-hmm.
will if you use calorie deficit as a rule, but
Yes.
you cannot avoid carbs as part of your
Yes, that's right.
loss journey. You need
Mm-hmm.
carbs to help you sustain a new lifestyle, a healthier lifestyle. And through mindful eating, through readjusting the proportion of the
That's right.
food, not the quantity of the food, but the proportion of the food, then like in terms of percentage of carbs versus protein and all that, then you can enjoy a healthier, you at least nutritionally. We'll get into the physical strength training part of it, but in terms of nutrition, this is the more advised way of building a sustainable way of addressing food and nutrition
That's
for a
correct.
healthy body. Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. That's right.
Okay, I've learned so much from you today. And of course, I will never forget watermelon, orange, kiwi. Okay. woke as an acronym. Okay, I'm gonna remember
Yep, I know, I am aware of that.
that. Okay, so let's now switch gears. Let's go into training, right?
Okay. All right.
There's always a lot of confusion. I must admit, like I still kind of try to be clear about this when I speak to people. There's a
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge confusion between bodybuilding and functional fitness. So
Right.
let's break that down. What's the key difference and why when does a person decide I want to do bodybuilding? When does a person decide I want to do functional fitness? Like break it down for us.
Okay. The primary goal of bodybuilding
Mm.
is to focus on muscle growth and aesthetics. So if you want to bulk up, get a six pack or chest muscles and all that, you go into
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if it's functional fitness, basically it's exercises that focus on improving your body's ability to perform everyday movements and
Mm.
with movements and activities
Mm.
effectively and efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mhm.
So I would say that let's say most of our clients, right, are in their 30s to 50s,
Right?
a little bit more conscientious about personal
Yes, yes,
health,
yes, 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 yes.
and I think have tried all kinds of fitness regime,
Right.
or and failed, or have
Okay.
tried that, but now their lifestyle cannot keep up with that type of fitness regime,
I see.
moving
Okay. Yep,
units,
yep.
right?
Hmm.
So I would say then for them, I would recommend, or rather, most of them will come to me and I say, yeah, it's all about functional fitness, right? It's
Right,
about,
right,
and actually, as they get older, and as we prepare to get into the active aging phase of our lives, so that we
right.
remain very mobile and very self-dependent, or rather, I should say independent in our movements when we're 70, 80, even 90 years old, then
Hmm.
functional fitness is what we should be focusing on, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so another part, therefore, if I was to break down that frame of functional fitness, right, is
Hmm.
strength training and mobility. Shall we break that down? Because I think a lot of people are still a little bit not sure what's the difference between the two. I think most
Okay.
people just think, okay, mobility just means yoga, right? Pilates, and strength
Hmm.
training is weightlifting.
Right. Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes. Well, I
Okay.
mean, in the gist of it, yes, it is. Just to
Mm-hmm.
summarize it, yes, it is.
Mm,
Strength training is basically uh, doing weights
mm,
or and things like that
mm,
is to keep the body active, to keep the muscle
mm.
active.
Okay.
Because as you grow older,
Mm-hmm.
your muscle or your strength will tend to weaken as you grow older. And
Mm,
as it weakens, your bone density also will deteriorate. And therefore,
mm,
strength training is actually important because it helps maintain your strength so that you are able to move freely without any stiffness or any weakness, and is to prevent injury on yourself, especially when you grow
yeah.
older.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
As for mobility is concerned, it's basically not just yoga or Pilates or whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically just to keep yourself moving, active,
Okay.
walking around, brisk walk, going shopping, walking from point A to point B, apart from being at home, as a form
Yeah.
of exercise. It just keeps yourself going. It keeps your fitness a level up, and
Yeah.
it also helps your heart. It keeps your heart pumping, your cardiovascular health, heart that is. I mean, keeps it
Mm,
going.
okay.
So I think, yeah, basically that is the
Right.
difference between these two.
So is it your recommendation that people in this age group, as they're focusing more on overall health,
Mm-hmm.
and it's starting to do aesthetics like bodybuilding, but really
Right.
about functional fitness, they should
Mm-hmm.
look at both, or can just having sessions with a personal trainer be sufficient?
Okay, I would recommend both.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Apart from training your clients
Mm.
by weight training or that,
Mm.
one would also recommend the client to, apart from that, try
Mm.
to go and exercise, meaning on your own time,
Mm.
walk,
Mm.
have a proper diet, that kind of stuff. So to
Mm.
maintain what you're doing so that don't just rely on the weight training once or twice a week because that
Mm.
is not, it will work, but it takes a longer time.
Right.
But if you incorporate walking in your lifestyle and all these kind of mobile activities, it
Right.
helps speeds up the process in a way.
Okay.
So in other words, basically, like I said, I would recommend both because
Mm.
somehow it sorts of interlinks with one another. Okay,
Okay.
both strength training and mobility. Okay, I mean, it basically enables you to build both attributes at the same time for better
Right.
performances. Okay,
Mm.
can I give an example for,
Sure.
Okay, say for example, swimming.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. Yeah.
okay, one relies on the other. If you do strength training, like upper body strength and all that, your swimming will be a lot more easier because you'll be less fatigued because you have the strength to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But, not but at the same time, if you're doing mobility, you're actually moving all the time. And
Right.
that also helps maintain strengthening your muscle at the same time, helps cardiovascular fitness
Mm-hmm.
and your mobility. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I would say that is one way of it relying one on the other. I mean, you can do swimming without strength training. It's
Right.
just that, sometimes you just feel tired because you
Yeah.
don't have the strength.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if you do a lot of strength training and then you just swim a bit, you
Mm.
just feel that you don't have the stamina to go longer. So
Right.
if you incorporate both that way, you tend to have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, so I think that makes sense because we see quite a few bodybuilders who really just focus on
Aesthetics.
working up, but don't really do a lot of movement. But then you see the CrossFit type of
That's
personalities,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And they have amazing stamina, they have amazing strength, and they're fit, they're lean, they're not bulky, but they certainly seem like the all-rounder athlete, when I
Yes,
see
that's
them like
correct.
CrossFit.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So for the general people, the average Singaporean out there,
Mm-hmm.
what's your recommendation? Like, if you were to take a 40-year-old man,
Mm-hmm.
office worker,
Mm-hmm.
what would be a baseline routine that he should work towards establishing? Meaning to say, obviously, when he just start, can't do that type of routine, maybe, but you should aim towards what kind of a routine?
Um,
Like,
I
is
would
it like
say that
strength
if
training
you're
twice a week, running or jogging?
okay, for a person who just started off, I would
No, no, no. I'm
say
not talking about person who just started off. I qualified to say that everyone starts off from a different position, so the
yes.
pace will be very different. So I don't want to cover that because that's not
Okay, so okay,
to
you're
answer.
into it already.
But I'm saying baseline. As a
Oh, the
steady
baseline.
state to maintain a healthy lifestyle, what does that look like for a 40-year-old person? So when I start, I know I have a goal. I want to get
Yes.
my lifestyle to a point where it is this, and this every week, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
whatever every month, for example.
Okay, every day, just put in maybe 10 to 15 minutes of any form of exercise. Walking,
Okay.
climbing up the steps, you know, especially now when you're in Singapore, you have a lot of so-called exercise areas
Yeah.
in your neighborhood.
Mm.
These exercise is rather straightforward because they actually have a sign that tells you how to do it, the form and the technique of
Oh, yes,
how it's
yes.
done,
Yeah.
right? So just so happen, you happen to be you want to exercise a day, like I said, 10 to 15 minutes. You don't have to do a
Mm-hmm.
full hour. You
Mm-hmm.
happen to walk past a place like this, you just do some of these activities. It will work if you keep it if you incorporate it into your lifestyle,
Every
okay?
day.
Yes, every day, and you
Mhm.
can. Of course, you want to do weights, by all means go ahead because it also
Mm.
helps. But
Mhm.
the fact of the matter is that you need to keep yourself active. It doesn't matter how long you take to keep yourself active, but you
Mm.
just need to keep yourself active. Move about, move
Mm.
about, just move about, basically. That's the case.
Oh, one would argue that they do that anyway because, if you go to, let's say it's typical worker, right? Typical
Mm-hmm.
office person working even in a crowded place like Raffles Place,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're definitely moving, brisk walking, like walking
That's
through
right.
all the long tunnels, like MRT tunnels, underpass, right? I would click off as just saying, okay, yeah, that's my 15 minutes for the day. Is that
Correct.
what you mean? So that's actually
Yeah, that's
what.
considered an exercise, okay?
Okay.
But you must take into consideration that,
Mm.
oh, I walk every day, 15 minutes to 20 minutes to work and back or to home from office
Mm.
or office back.
Mm.
But why is it I'm still gaining weight? You
Mm.
know,
Mm.
the fact is of the matter is that apart from being active, okay, and keeping your body moving, your diet also plays an important role.
Okay, before we get into that, I'm still waiting for the baseline answer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to exercise, weight training, twice a week minimum. But maximum is usually three times a week. That would be the best.
Maximum is 3 times a week.
Maximum 3 times a week, minimum is
Okay.
twice a week.
Okay.
However, if your time is very constrained and you
Mm.
can't exercise,
Mm.
if you can fit in once a week, it's also good enough. It's better than not doing anything at all.
So, I hear when people do their gym workout, right? That is
Mhm.
leg day or is like arms day. I don't know. Shoulder day. Is that
Okay,
what you mean by
that
3 times a week?
okay. Those people who do 3 times a week, they tend to split
Mm.
their routine, like you say, leg
Mm.
day,
Mm.
body day, core
Mm.
day, or,
Mm.
or, or whatever, is because they actually have time for themselves to do it. And
Right.
when they do it, they don't do an hour long.
Mm.
Because if they are doing like that, they obviously have a set routine that they need to do.
Right.
And then once they finish that routine, their job is done for the day. So it
Mm.
can be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing it like twice a week, you can do it, but it's better you do a proper full body exercise, meaning you start from your chest up all the
Mm.
way down, because you don't have much time. Therefore, that's the reason why you do from 2 instead of 3 times a
Right.
week, that is.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so therefore you try to compress it even more.
Mm.
And yeah, basically that's the case. And especially, of course, if you only have once a week,
Mm.
then that's different. That's where you start to try to incorporate everything into one, and therefore it
Yeah.
actually takes a little bit longer than what you would do if you do 3 times a week.
So is it a case where, again, I'm talking about baseline,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
so 15 minutes every day,
mm-hmm,
strength training, full body strength training,
mm-hmm.
twice a week recommended.
Yes, yes,
And this is baseline,
yeah,
So, and by full body is really working from shoulder all the way down.
mm-hmm,
Don't try not to split because then it defeats the purpose of saying it twice a week. But so full body.
yeah, that's right.
But in terms of the routine, in terms of the weight, in terms of the reps and all that, that's subject to each person. I get it. But in terms
Yep,
of scheduling it and putting it as part of your lifestyle, that's your recommendation.
correct.
Um,
That's right.
okay, got it. So, you when we talked about mobility and strength earlier on, the
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
mobility in this case is the daily exercise, like
mm-hmm,
the daily movement, 15 minutes a
mm-hmm,
day.
mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm-hmm,
got it. Okay, I think that's a very useful reference for many of our listeners out there.
mm-hmm.
But one thing that I think a lot of clients, when they come to us, they usually come to us because they find that strength training can be a little bit intimidating. I mean, just the term itself is often
Yes.
misunderstood or
All right.
applied in a stereotypical way, which is the bodybuilding side. So,
Mm-hmm,
and some people may go to decathlon and then look at all the weights and go, yeah, that's not just not me at all.
mm-hmm,
Although we at Inside Out will certainly encourage, are very for big proponents of strength training.
mm-hmm.
So perhaps for the beginners, right? What would you say are the most important safety principles to keep in mind if they were to go to a decathlon, pick up a couple of weights or bands or whatever, and you are standing there, not as a personal trainer, but just somebody to advise, what would you say is the
Mm-hmm.
most important safety principles for them to bear in mind as they embark on this home workout?
Okay, I have two specific mindsets or principles
Mm-hmm.
that are my top priority, not
Mm-hmm.
only including myself when I
Mm,
exercise. Uh, to me, I would tell other people, like friends and all that, there are
mm.
two things that you need to do. Okay, one, safety always comes first.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you do not put yourself in harm's way or any dangerous situation when you're exercising
Okay.
in general. Like for example, in the weights room, make
Mm.
sure that you are safe. You feel safe, and therefore you know for a fact that you will not get injured,
Right.
you know,
Mm.
in that way. The second one, which is I find more important or just as important, is that you need to listen to your body. Okay.
Okay.
By doing so, is that you need to be mindful of your
Mm.
physical and mental state. Nobody can listen, nobody will know or understand your body except for
Yeah.
you yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically, you need to change or adjust your workout based on how you feel.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, if you're very tired that
Mm.
day after a long day of work,
Yeah.
you can't stick to the original routine of carrying heavy weights on that day because you're
Right.
tired, you're not thinking straight, and your body says, hey, I don't think I can. But if you do force yourself, an injury can occur or may occur.
Okay.
All right. And if you're not thinking straight, or you may actually drop your weights or by accident because you're just tired, you may end up actually hurting people around you. Or
Mm.
you may actually damage the mirror or
Mm.
anything like that. Okay.
Right.
And as you exercise, okay, and the thing is that apart from that, when you're listening to your body, the
Mm.
thing that is important is that you need to be mindful when your body requires rest. Okay.
Right.
And at the same time, you need to know how long you need to recover because only your body will know and will tell you, okay, I've recovered, I feel good, let's go.
Yeah.
And then you
Okay.
go. No?
Okay. Yeah. So, on that note, right, about listening to the body and minding the mental state, but then, any workout, it always feels tough, right?
Yes, yes.
And now I want to bring in that term that we hear from time to time, progressive overload. What does that mean
Okay.
in the context of what you just shared? Listening to your
Right.
body, safety
Right,
first,
right,
and
right,
all
right.
that. Yeah.
Okay, progressive overload, different people will have a different concept over it.
Mm-hmm.
But in general terms, is basically gradually increasing the intensity
Okay.
or the difficulty of a workout over time. Not a
Okay.
specific time, but over time.
Mm.
By doing so, it actually helps your body to
Mm.
adjust, okay, adjust the intensity or the difficulty of the exercise or the workout that you're doing.
Okay.
Okay, it helps you adjust, in which in time you will gain strength, muscle growth, and also endurance.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, by actually, okay, if you gradually increase the workout, okay, your workload in your workout,
Mm.
bit by bit, your body, for example, your nervous system and
Mm.
your muscles will slowly adapt. Okay, will struggle at first, but it will slowly
Yeah.
adapt to what you're doing. And
Okay.
then once you reach there, you can maintain or improve if you want to. So that's where progressive overload goes. If you feel that I think I can go further, so that's where
Okay.
you go above, and then you start that cycle all over again.
Okay.
Mhm,
You brought in that time component, right? So let me
mhm,
bring up a common problem I think people
mhm,
face, and why people kind of derail from their original good intention. A lot of
mhm,
people feel
mhm,
very discouraged when they don't see results immediately. So And I'm sure you've seen people like those as well. So how do you help clients stay committed to consistency over time rather than chasing quick wins? Because I can imagine that some people would just say, hey, I have been doing this for like 12 weeks already. My body is not really transformed.
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
as a personal trainer, what do you say to them? Or how do you advise them?
Okay, I would remind them,
Mm,
or tell them that it takes time to achieve your goal. And
mm,
at the same time, while telling them that, I will explain to them how the body, how the functions of the body works. And not everyone is the same as the other.
yeah.
Okay. And therefore the results varies for everyone.
Mm,
And at the same time, I will keep them positive and I will give them lots of encouragement. Okay.
yeah.
Also letting them know that the changes that occur,
Mm,
all right, is very, very subtle
right.
and it's really not so obvious until you actually pay attention. Then you realize, oh yeah, yes, things have changed and I feel a lot more energetic, more
Mm,
lively, and all
yeah.
that. But sometimes you don't, because of the hustle and bustle of working life and
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
family, your children, and all that, you
Yeah.
don't really stop to think about things like this. But you
Mm,
just carry on going about it, and
mm,
then you realize, or your friends will probably tell you, hey, you're actually walking a little bit faster now compared to last time, or, I've
mm,
seen some changes in you. You seem to be much more happy, more preppy,
mm,
healthier. That's
mm.
when you will notice.
Yeah, no, you're totally right on that, right? Because I think a lot of people so one-dimensional when they think about fitness training
Hmm.
or bodybuilding or any kind of those physical strength training kind of exercise.
Yep,
I think
yep.
it's really just the external part, which is
Hmm.
the formation and toning of the body, but it actually has a much bigger impact on the mental state. Um,
Yes, that's correct.
and in terms of the energy that you bring to your day to day, even on your
Hmm.
rest days, you just
Yes.
generally a much more energetic person. I speak from experience, right?
Okay.
So I want to bring up a common concern or
Okay.
limitation, mind limitation, that a lot of clients used to have, which is they always think that, oh, I've got knee injury, I've got this chronic back pain, or I've recently had an operation on my ankle, whatever, right? I've heard it all from top to bottom.
Right,
And
right,
because
right.
of that, right, one thing what I commend them on is they are considering at least the need to want to stay mobile, right? The
Okay.
need to still gain strength, but they
Hmm.
just don't know how to because a gym, one of those commercial gyms can be very intimidating, I must
Oh,
admit.
yes.
Even
Yes,
if you go
yes.
in and speak to somebody, you just feel like you're being sold a package opposed to
Yes.
somebody actually looking after your health. YouTube
Okay.
also, like you said at the start of this chat, right? That
Hmm.
it's very generic and it's to fit to the masses instead of to the person.
That's correct.
So somebody will come to us thinking, do you offer some form of personalized training to that extent? To the extent that you can even support me considering that I have gone through or I am going through a physical condition,
Injury. Injury
injury.
or, yep, yep,
Yeah,
okay. All
right.
right, okay.
So I've always said yes, we can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so long as you have that clearance from your doctor that you are able to, you just watch out for certain things. But I
Right.
want to address the point that is it possible, for example, if somebody has a knee injury, a chronic knee
Mm-hmm.
injury, and had surgery on it, can
Mm-hmm.
that person still work out in perhaps like the normal set that we would recommend to anybody?
Ah,
Or
okay.
do we have to ignore that particular area for safety or just to not aggravate the condition? What would you say to that?
Okay. As a personal trainer, we usually work alongside with physicians
Mm,
or physical therapists or healthcare professionals.
mm,
Okay, so basically, like you say, if you have a major injury or a surgery or some sort of a chronic pain and all
mm,
that, one
mm.
needs to go to a physician to find out whether is it safe for
Yeah.
that person to carry on a fitness journey. Okay. And
Mm.
that's when the physician will tell you, yeah, go ahead, you can go ahead and do it, but just be mindful of that injury that you do.
Yeah.
And also, usually, if you have a major surgery or something like that, you would have gone through some sort of a physiotherapist
Yes.
or
Yeah.
something like that to help you improve your strength around that area. So
Mm.
that's where a personal trainer comes in. Okay, he will work alongside with a physiotherapist, where the physiotherapist would tell the person who has
Mm.
sustained that injury, tell your
Mm.
personal trainer that you have hurt here or this area,
Mm.
and you need to improve the muscle around the area.
Yeah.
That's where the personal trainer comes in, and he will
Yeah.
help improve the muscles, not on the injured area, but the muscles around the area
Yeah.
to to improve the strength, the motor function, and the mobility of it.
Okay. I think that's fair. I mean, I just want to make sure that people out there who have existing conditions, right, or past operations,
Mhm, mhm,
I want them to know that there is an avenue for them to still stay very fit, very
mhm,
mobile,
mhm.
and not see it as I would say as a permanent condition that they cannot rectify. I think our bodies are an amazing creation that is very, very resilient, so long
Mhm.
as we are able to find the right experts to support that regain of
Yep,
personal health, physically
exactly.
and mentally, right?
That's
So,
correct. So basically, in other words,
mm,
as for the client is concerned, I mean,
mm,
the personal trainer will do his part to help
mm,
improve
mm,
his strength.
mm,
But as on the trainee's part or the client's
mm,
part, is that he needs to be wary of his injury. Of course, if it does hurt, then obviously
mm.
you need to
Yeah.
stop exercising that area altogether and just do other parts of the body, but just miss that part so that you can heal.
Okay, so we've got time for questions.
Oh, okay.
I've got quite a number, but let me try to pinpoint those that we haven't covered yet.
Okay.
Um, how this- okay, there's so much conflicting information on nutrition. Fair comment. How
Mm-hmm.
do I know what's actually good for me? Mm,
Oh, um, okay. Well, this is going to be a bit hard for me. So,
mm.
okay. You are saying about you're talking about like
Conflicting information
information.
on nutrition.
What-
Actually,
Is
can
it
I answer this one? This one is a very easy question for this.
okay, okay.
Speak to a nutritionist, lor.
Okay,
Correct?
okay. All right. All right. Just
So to the person who's asking this question, you're right. There's a lot of conflicting information. Nowadays, it's crazy because I see on social media all kinds of experts saying it's not about this, it's actually more about this, or let me change your life in like 7 minutes. I will tell you that, right? I see so many of this, and you're right, it can be so overwhelming because some of them can actually directly contradict another.
yes, that's correct.
And I actually, when people speak to me about this, right, I always say don't get distracted by all of this. Nutrition is to me, a very basic part of health. Very basic.
Yes. Yes.
And it's all about you're not eating you're not biohacking, right? You're not doing something that to achieve 100%
Yep,
best of
that's
the
correct.
best
That's
kind
correct.
of health. Like
Right, right.
you're not being graded on your nutrition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What you want to do is adopt a lifestyle that supports your physical and mental health. Okay, so whether that's some form of exercise, whether that as a goal because you are an athlete or you are aspiring athlete or marathon or whatever, you have different life
Mm-hmm.
goals at different part, or you're going through menopause and you're
Oh,
going,
yes.
therefore, or you're pregnant. All of this, right? Different lifestyles, different nutrition needs. And there's no need to be so scientific about the whole thing. It's what can
Right.
you do to function in a healthy manner?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
And that's where you do need that one-on-one. You do need to
Mm-hmm.
seek out a nutritionist who can sit down, understand where you are, your current body condition. And if it's in the unhealthy state, obviously the focus in is always getting you to adapt, not drastically change, but slowly adapt towards a very sustainable way of feeding yourself
Right.
healthily, and at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, if you're going through a certain goal in mind, I always try to talk to people who will speak to me about what we offer, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
really not about weight loss. What weight loss is an outcome of
Right.
what we are proposing, which is healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Healthcare
Yep, that's right.
always where we approach everything mentally and physically is all about that. Even if you come in for just a nutrition advice, or if you're coming in just for personal training, or you're coming in just for yoga, we always say
Mm-hmm.
there is always an outcome on the other side, which is the mental side. Inevitably and always, you will always get that. Like what
Yep.
sometimes when people come in for seeking help from the mental support, right?
Mm-hmm.
Invariably the coaches and the counselors will always say, are you doing something physical? Because you do need to
Mm-hmm.
get out there. Part and
Yes, that's
parcel, right?
correct.
You
Yep,
can't
yep,
just,
yep, yep.
if you're going through certain state and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, is counterintuitive, but actually one of the greatest way to work around that is start moving. I start
Correct.
doing something, because these
Right.
small wins, right, are very important. So that's my short answer is speak to a nutritionist. Doesn't have to be one of ours, but you must speak to a nutritionist to and not listen to the very overwhelmingly contradictory information out there
Correct.
on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, the
Uh,
internet is actually a brutal place, okay? A very
yes,
brutal place, all right?
yeah.
But unfortunately, there are people who,
Mm,
how would you put it,
mm,
stubborn. They don't want to speak to
yeah.
nutritionists, or they
Yeah.
still insist on going onto the internet, okay, to
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
So if you're the type of person that you're like that, my
Mm,
only advice for you is that when you read
mm,
whatever you're supposed to read, make sure it actually has evidence
mm,
based, okay, and has a lot of citations and
mm,
all that from
mm.
credible sources.
Yeah.
Then yes, you should believe in it. But if you have some bulky guy telling you, giving you a lot of scientific terms and all that,
Mm,
I would be a little bit hesitant for you to believe something like that, you know?
yeah.
Yep.
No, you're right. And on that note, I do want to tell our listeners out there that Um, my take on supplements
Okay.
is only if for whatever reason you have dietary restrictions
Mm-hmm.
that does not allow you to access certain nutrition that is necessary.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I say again, necessary for a healthy lifestyle. I think there's a huge push towards supplements, and I think my take is always do it only if required or necessary.
That's
And
correct.
on that, you do need to also therefore fall back on nutritionist advice on what you need.
Yes.
And if for whatever reason that is that advice that they say you need to consume this, and this, not specific foods per se, but specific nutrition elements. If for whatever reason you can't or it's not enough
Mm-hmm.
based on
Mm-hmm.
religious restrictions or dietary restrictions or
Yes, that's
pre-existing
correct.
health conditions, then look at supplements. But it shouldn't be, and I think this is the topsy-turvy part, most people go to the supplements first,
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
For
Okay,
convenience and all that, right?
yeah, okay. Supplements, that's why it's called supplements. It is to supplement
Yes. Yeah,
what you
exactly.
are missing. Okay, say for
Yeah.
example, fruits. I always like to
Mm,
go to fruits because
mm,
when you eat fruits, you're given a lot of vitamins. Okay,
yeah.
different kinds of vitamins, A, B, C, so on and so
Mm,
forth. But the
mm,
thing is, if you have enough fruits, your intake of vitamins are
mm,
there. Okay, you
mm,
don't really need that much, but you do need it.
yeah.
So if you are taking vitamin C supplements,
Mm,
means that you don't take enough fruits, enough vitamin C's.
yeah.
Therefore, the supplements are there to supplement what you're missing out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I there's a perhaps we have time for maybe one or two more questions. So
Okay. Okay.
Is it ever too late to start weight training, especially if I've never done it before? This is coming from somebody, I'm gonna suspect that this person is a little bit more on the elderly side because just by the
Okay.
nature of the question. So
Okay.
so thank you. I think that's a very important question. I think even in Singapore, right, a lot of the messaging out there by HPB, the Health Promotion Board,
Yep.
is to
Yep.
look
Yep. Yep. Yep.
at active aging. I see a lot of posters out there, and I totally commend HPB for doing so. So yes,
Correct.
let's give the answer for this one. I'm very supportive of this question. Is it ever too
Okay.
late to
Good.
start
Yeah.
weight
No.
training, especially if I've never done it before?
It's never too late to start a fitness journey.
Yeah, never too late.
Okay, because the older you go, the older you get, okay, like I said earlier, your muscles will tend to, your strength and all that will tend to decrease as time
Mm,
goes by. So
mm,
in order for you to maintain that strength that you originally have, you need
mm,
to start on a fitness journey.
mm,
Okay, how you start on a fitness journey, especially if you're uncertain of what to do.
mm.
Okay, the most important thing is that you need to set a goal for yourself.
Okay.
Okay, and then once you set a goal, but before you set the goal, you need to know the things that, is it sustainable? Is it doable? Is it too hard? Oh, yeah, I think I can do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know that it can be done, it's sustainable, you set that goal. Okay.
Mm,
Then the hardest part now is to get going, meaning
mm,
make it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. At the same
mm.
time, you need to enjoy what you're doing.
Okay, I think that's a fair advice, and I totally agree. I think that's supported by so many medical research out there as well. Just get active and keep active. Okay, so thank you so much, Greg. I wish we could speak more. Obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but I think it's provided good coverage for a lot of people out there who has been so confused with so many things that's out there when it comes to physical health, nutrition, and to some extent mental health as well. So to all our listeners out there, thank you again for being part of this journey. I hope these sessions inspire you to invest in your well-being and harness it for the powerful tool that it truly is. Feel free to reach out to Inside Out Well through our website, www.insideoutwell.com. If you have any questions or you're very curious about how you can kickstart your journey when it comes to physical and or mental health, they're intertwined anyway. So until then, my name is Michelle. Thank you, Greg, for joining us today. We wish you good health inside and out. Thank you.